Hey, what's going on, DDO players? Axel here. So yes, as you can tell, I'm not recording this on my normal setup. I'm recording it on my cell phone. So that's because recent days, my PC died. I think the motherboard's dead. I don't know what's wrong with it. So until I can fix it or get a replacement, you'll have to bear with me. I did want to do some videos this week, so just bear with me. I can't do thumbnails. I can't edit anything like that because I'm recording this on my cell phone. So yeah, just bear with me. But this video is going to be probably one of several that I'll record on my cell phone until I can get a replacement. The only exception is a video I did record and upload to YouTube before my PC died, which is just a little music video. I don't know if I'll even make that go public, but other than that, the next several videos I do will probably be on my cell phone because, again, my PC is dead. But anyways, this one I want to give my thoughts on the new raid, Skeletons in the Closet. It's not too new anymore. It's been out for a little while now, but in my review for Isle of Dread, I did mention that I'd give my further thoughts on the raid whenever it did come out, and I've had plenty of time to run it. I've led the raid like a dozen times, I would say. I'm not going to go through like all the little mechanics in the raid, like every single mechanic. If you want to see what that is, you want to learn more about how to do the raid, I think it was a few weeks ago, I uploaded a 6-minute raid guide to that raid that'll very quickly explain to you how, like, all the mechanics and how to run the raid if you've never run it. So you might want to watch that first before watching this video if you have no experience with the raid at all. Okay, but let's get started. So first of all, the raid. I really like this raid, by the way. It's my favorite raid that they've introduced in the game for a very long time. I think my favorite raid probably since the Curse of Strahd, which came out in 2017. And actually this raid itself actually quite raises my opinion of the expansion. I think the expansion now has an argument for being number 2 all time. I still would put it at number 3. But Isle of Dread is certainly, with this raid, is turned out to be a better expansion than it was pre-raid. The only bad thing is that we still only get one raid with the expansion, but at least the one raid we got was really good. So, okay, so let's continue here. I wrote a bunch of notes on a piece of paper here so I can actually keep a coherent process in my brain of trying to explain everything, make sure I don't miss anything. But anyways, all right, so the difficulty. So the difficulty in this raid is pretty much perfect. On normal, it's, I think, what normal should be. It's with a full group of players. If you have any idea what you're doing and you just have half decent builds, you shouldn't struggle to complete on normal. If you know what you're doing. On hard, it's a little bit more of a challenge. I have been involved in my only wipe, I think, of this raid was on hard in a group that just happened to not be a very good group. But really, even on hard, if you know what you're doing and you have a pretty good group, you don't have to have an amazing group, but a pretty decent group, you shouldn't struggle that much with hard. I haven't run it yet on Reaper, but hopefully, if I can get my PC fixed, I can start running it, maybe try it on Reaper. Let's see. So on hard, I would say it's definitely harder on hard than, say, like hard Dryad and the Demigod, but it's, I would say, a little bit easier than hard Hunter be Hunted. So yeah, so it's in a good spot. I really like the difficulty. It's in a spot where if you want to run it casually, you can run normal. It's not so hard on normal like, say, Two Out the Handle was or something when that raid came out, to where you can't run it if you don't have a good build. So you can certainly, anyone on any build can certainly run this raid on normal. Shouldn't be a problem. Let's see. Okay, so I guess one flaw that I've seen other people point out is the loot drops. So the way the raid works, there's no named items. Everything's craftable. So the raid will drop. The main appeal of the raid is it drops attuned weapons, which are the same as the weapons you can craft in the regular Isle of Dread pack for just ingredients you find. However, it has a slightly improved weapon dice. So that's the reason why you want the raid craftable weapons as opposed to the craftable weapons that you can just get in the pack or in the wilderness chests. Also, there's certain non-weapon types of items that will drop that are craftable as well that you can't get, as far as I know, anywhere else in the expansion. Like, for example, I pulled on my Warforged fighter, I pulled the docent, which was really nice to see. It was really nice to see. I did pull a docent the other day, and you can also pull some of that stuff on the chest that's at the end of phase 2. So there's 2 chests in the raid, the phase 2 chest and the end chest. And the phase 2 chest, as far as I know, doesn't drop attuned weapons. Someone correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but it does drop the non-weapon craftable stuff. Okay, let's continue on here. So let's see. Okay, so one flaw about the raid is that because there's so many weapon types, if you're looking for something specific, say you just want the Kopesh or you just want the Maul, you're gonna struggle to pull what you want from the in chest just because there's so many weapon types that the odds of actually pulling something that you want is rather like low. I mean, it would be different if there was say raids where there's only like 8 items or something. It's a lot better chance than this raid where there's like dozens of items. So that's one con with the raid. You're probably going to have to just get what you want through raid runes, which is fine. I don't think that's too much of a problem because the raid runes drop rate to turn in ratio is pretty decent. From what I saw before, it's going to be about 20 runs on normal to get enough raid runes to turn in for a weapon and about 15 on hard. I'm not sure what it is on Reaper because like I said, I haven't run Reaper, so I don't quite know what the rune drop rate is on Reaper. Let's continue on here. Okay, so the raid in terms of length, it's pretty much a perfect length. I would say the raid takes, I don't know, 20 to 25 minutes maybe, just depending on your difficulty and how organized your party is. But it's pretty much the perfect length. It's not too short. It's not too long. That's one thing I do like about it. It's quite fun. The mechanics in the last phase in particular are great. They're mostly unique. Mostly things we haven't really seen before. And it requires a good amount of party coordination. It's not so much to where it's cryptic or to where lag's a problem, anything like that. But it's like in a perfect spot. It requires a pretty good amount of party coordination. Okay, and let's see, particularly things like the yellow skulls, the dark secrets, I thought were a really good idea. It requires you to have controlled DPS because the way a lot of people are doing the dark secrets section, the yellow skull section, is everyone groups on the healer and then the ranged will take out the skulls one by one. You don't want to take out the skulls too quick because every time a skull is destroyed, the party takes damage, but you don't want to take it out too slow either because if you don't take them out before there's basically a timer in the skulls. If you don't take them out quick enough, then they'll all explode at the same time and do tons of damage to the party and maybe wipe the party. So it's a good mechanic. You have to actually be in control. I've seen some people will go melee, but generally the way groups are doing that section is everyone groups up on the healer and then have ranged and casters take out the skulls. Just that way, if you're grouped on the healer, everyone can heal everyone as they take the damage. Every time a skull is destroyed, they can heal you from the damage. So the platforms in the third phase, I like that they allow safety from the main boss, but they do penalize you for healing, which is good. They need to have some penalty on those platforms just because they would promote just camping on the platform in the final phase, which I still think you can do because if you're not taking damage, the self-healing penalty doesn't really matter. I might have even gone further if I was the designer of this raid and maybe added like a dot that makes you take more and more damage over time that refreshes once you step off of it, maybe to make it so you can't just completely camp on there, maybe like a dot similar to say like the maze section of Hunter Be Hunted. Something like that I think would be a cool idea, but in any case, it does prevent you from just camping on there, I guess. Let's see. There's also the mechanic where you have to bring the boss down on the center platform at the end. That's nothing. We've seen that before. It reminds me a lot like Deathworm, but I always like that mechanic. It makes the tank the tank have to actually pay attention a little bit, gives the tank a little bit of something to do in terms of maneuvering the final boss when you're beating him down. A lot of times in the end fight of the new raid, you want to beat the boss down off the platform because if you're beating them off, you can't beat them down while they're on the platform because the party won't be able to be healed. So it's not really a good idea. I mean, on lower difficulties, it doesn't really matter that much, but I would imagine on the higher difficulties, you'll want to make sure the tank is paying attention, so you beat it down off the platform, then pull it down on the platform before the boss dies. So, all right, yeah, so I really like that mechanic. What else? Almost every archetype in here does have a role, something to play. DPS, obviously. Tank, you have to have a tank for this raid. Healers with the skulls being destroyed, the Dark Secrets mechanic. Healers have a lot to do. So also a lot of people will just get one-shotted with Roar. So there's a lot of people to raise things like that. So Roar, if you don't know, is the big AoE that the the final boss does, which you will take tons of sonic damage unless you're standing on one of the platforms. But there's something for every archetype to do, except for maybe crowd control. Like most of the enemies in the raid are undead. Like Pale Masters might struggle a bit in here. CC oriented characters, but for the most part, everyone has something to do. So let's see. There's 2 optionals, which I haven't been doing much. I did do the last one, the one where you have to do the platforming while dead at the after the infight. I did that once. I haven't done the tablet one. I have read about it, been told about it, but there's not a whole lot of reason to do those optionals. The other one requires the reading the tablets. I'm not exactly sure how to do the first one. But there's not a lot of reason to do the optionals, so I haven't seen parties do them just because it's just XP. There's no extra chest. Maybe it would have been a good idea for them to make it so if you do both optionals, you get an additional in chest. But at the same time, I mean, maybe that would have been a little too generous with the drop rates. I don't know. I definitely don't think they should give you more raid runes. I think the amount of raid runes you get is pretty much perfect. And I'm kind of okay with a raid requiring you to run it like 20 or 40 times, because you might need multiple weapons here. Maybe you want one of the armors as well, or docents or something. So you might want 3 items in here. You might have to run the raid like 40, 50, 60 times, which I'm okay with because it gives you it gives the raid some long-term playability. What I hate is raids that come out, everyone gets what they want in the first couple weeks and no one runs it again. So I'm okay with a raid taking a long time, months and months and months, for you to actually get everything you want out of it. So I'm kind of okay with the drop rate, to be honest. It would be nice if you could actually pull the weapon, and I know some people are complaining about that, but with raid runes, I think the raid rune drop rate is very generous. So even if you get nothing, I think it's, like I said before, it's like, even if you're running it on hard, I think it's 15 runs for 1 turn in. So it's not like that bad of a grind. So I mean, I was around back in the day when you maybe didn't get stuff off the 20th list. Say, I remember how many times I had to run to get my torque from Demon Queens. So this, in comparison, I think is fine. But yeah, overall, guys, I mean, it's my favorite raid to be introduced, like I said, since Strahd in 2017, I think, for sure. I like it better than Hunter Be Hunted, which is, that raid's kind of just a DPS check, a little too punishing at the end. Dryad and the Demigod, I think, the difficulty's in a weird spot because it's way too easy, I think, on hard, but R1 is probably not reachable for most pugs. So yeah, and plus, so yeah, I mean, I definitely like it better than most of their new raids. And the Sharn raids, you guys know from other videos I've done, I'm never been a big fan of those raids. Project Nemesis is fine. Actually ran it the other day, but it's just not really my cup of tea and too hot to handle. I did a whole rant on that in my Sharn expansion review video years ago, so I don't need to repeat that. But overall, very good raid, guys. If you haven't run it, definitely give it a shot. It's not too difficult, especially on normal. It's not difficult at all. So yeah, guys, comment below. Let me know what you think about the raid. I want to say, since I can't do any editing, I want to say thank you to my Patreon supporters. Robert Ray, Vaclav Snyder, Brent Erickson, Ryan Ozzy, Rouge Rogue, and Clorox, and then Jordan Bloom, who I saw that you just signed up for Patreon a couple days ago. I really appreciate that. Any money from if I had to replace my computer, all the money from Patreon, which I've been saving because I know I'm going to have to at some point probably buy a new mic and a computer, all that money is going to go to fund the new PC. Okay, so it should fund a decent little chunk of it. So I really appreciate everyone who supports on Patreon and everyone who has subbed me on Twitch. So yeah, guys, I appreciate that. And yeah, that's it for this video. Let me know what you think about the new raid. See you guys later. Take care. Bye bye.